Hey, welcome back to the State of Love and Trust. It's episode 295, and this week we're talking with rock and roller, podcaster, and comedian Dean Delray. He has lived a life of lives, and we're going to talk about all of it. And you're going to get a kick out of this. Lots of AC/DC talk, by the way. So strap in. Here we go with this week's guest.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dean Delray, and this is the State of Love and Trust.
Welcome back to another episode of the State of Love and Trust podcast. I'm your host, Jason Kerepesi, and not alongside me this week is not Paul Ghiglieri because he is working. He is an educator. He is molding and shaping the young minds of America to make them better citizens. And our guest this week, Dean Delray, is a working comedian, and he's crushing the sets across Los Angeles or the country every night. So this is when we had to do it. I'm a big fan of Dean's, and I think you will be too after this interview. Before we get going, though, of course, if you're watching here on YouTube, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications. And if listening only, go ahead and review, and subscribe on wherever you listen to the podcast. That would be great. If you want to support this show, of course, there are links below for Patreon. We have a great Patreon community over there, and the pod shop. So all kinds of cool stuff, including I've got a mug here. And I've got a, what is this guy? A Pilsner glass. So there's ways to support the show if you like what you see in here. Otherwise, let's get to it. This man is hilarious. He's a rock and roller. And there's so many stories that we're going to get into. So without the further ado, my new friend, Dean Delray. My guest this week is, well, where do I begin? My guest this week is currently a stand-up comedian, a podcast host, an actor, and every now and again, a rock and roller on stage. But his professional life has taken more twists and turns than a Angus Young guitar solo, and I can't wait for you and me to learn more about the wild life that is Dean Delray's. Hey, Dean.
What is happening, buddy? How are you?
I am okay. I am feeling like you. I got my beanie on. I got rock and roll. Well, you got Mad Men behind you. I got rock and roll behind me.
Yeah. It's like crazy weather in LA. Once every 5 years we get rain and everybody freaks out, but it's actually storming here and cold. So
it is
beanie indoors.
That's right. The rain is washing away the sins of Los Angeles. So we think.
Man, it's wild. Yesterday it got like 5 inches of rain or something.
It was pissing yesterday morning.
Yeah. Do you live in LA?
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It was crazy storming, man.
Now I know many people out there in podcast land. They'll know you from either your rock and roll days back in the day, from your podcast, Let There Be Talk. You got the Bon Scott tribute shows over the years, thousands of comedy sets across the country. Your latest comedy special, your first comedy special, which we'll get to, called 5836. Dude, you have lived so many lives that there's no way we're going to fit everything in, so I'm not going to try.
Right.
I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions until we run out of time. Sound good?
You got it.
All right. So I got to start with a story that I know our core audience is really going to love. I just learned about this like 2 days ago. Pearl Jam recently put out a video from their chief archivist, Kevin Schuss, detailing an early tour run, 1991, along the West Coast here in support of Alice in Chains. And he mentioned a show in Oakland that was supposed to happen at a place called the Real Rock Club, but it had to be moved last minute to the Omni. And you were a part of making that happen. They name-checked you. So I need to know what this story is in more detail. And then we'll maybe some other 25-year-old Dean Delray booking clubs stories.
I couldn't even actually, I couldn't believe they put that up. It was like kind of like an honor, because I had interviewed Stone Gossard years ago and Jerry Cantrell separately on my podcast, Let There Be Talk. And and brought it up both times to them, and they were just blown away, like, wow. And I always think that life is so crazy to think about what would have to happen in my life and their lives to be able to tell that story. First of all, I have to still be alive. And then second of all, be in a situation of like, you know, doing something in the entertainment biz where I'd be able to talk to them because, you know, if you're just a civilian, you don't get a chance really to talk to, you know, artists unless somehow you get lucky, you win a contest or something. So anyway, all these years later, I don't know, what is it, like 30 years or something? They were
35.
35. They mentioned that. And I was really blown away. When I was a kid, I was playing rock and roll, and I was also booking nightclubs in the Bay Area owned by John Nady, who was the Nady wireless inventor. And that was the Omni, the Stone, and the One Step Beyond, and then the Cadillac Club in Fresno. And me and a buddy of mine, Jimmy Arsenault, would book the talent along with a couple other people that were, you know, our bosses. But they hired us because we were in the know. You know, when you're young, you know every band. And I still try to know as much new music as I can right now. So I was a huge Mother Love Bone fan, like beyond. And then I had, you know, we used to get like demo tapes and stuff sent to us daily, like boxes of demos of bands that wanted to play the club. And then record companies would send stuff to us too, advances. So I had gotten this advance cassette of Alice in Chains, and it had Man in the Box on it. And I was like, oh my God, this is fucking great. And I had heard that they were going to just do kind of a little club run, start to get their feet wet. The record was going to be coming out, and they were going to be coming with another band called Mookie Blaylock. And I was like, well, who's Mookie Blaylock? And then I looked and I go, oh, fuck, that's the Love Bone guys with a new singer. And I go, we got to book that. This is going to be great. So I immediately put in an offer, and this other new club, the Real Rock, which was kind of brand new and just, you know, almost a fly-by-night club, started outbidding us on anything we wanted just to fuck us. So I think at the time I offered like $5,000, which is, you know, like it might have been $3,000 because both bands are unknown. Yeah, well, it's totally unknown, these bands still at that time. You know what I'm saying? And I think that what happened was I offered $3,000. I don't know the exact number, but let's say $3,000. Then the Real Rock offered $5,000, and my boss was like, "Oh, well, absolutely not." And I was like, "Fuck," you know.
Yeah.
So the day of the show, the Real Rock had only been open, I believe, about a month. They lost their liquor license, or they were operating illegal or something, and the shows were canceled. They were closed. And Pearl Jam people and Alice in Chains people contacted me and said, look, we're supposed to do this gig. We know that you made the offer, but we're willing to just come over and play free because, you know, they got a deposit. If you can just put us in. Now, this is like 4 hours before the show.
Oh, wow. That close.
4 or 5 hours. So I talked to my boss and I said, look, we can get them for free or whatever. And she said, well, she was really cool. She goes, if you can just call all your friends and get them down here, and at least the people will do some drinking, you know, let's get them in the room. So me and Jimmy called everyone we could. I think it was like 50 or 75 people. They came down, sound checked, and hung out all day. And I hung out with the guys all day and night, and they played. And then the next night they played the I-Beam on Haight Street, which is one of the great San Francisco rock clubs. And that was the Gavin convention, which was kind of the industry kind of a music industry, festival for San Francisco back then. So they played the Omni. And from then on, I pretty much stayed in contact with a couple of them for a few years. And Lane, a matter of fact, when all those guys played the Rip Party, I was hanging out with all of them. And, when they did the first Temple of the Dog in West Coast, I mean, they did it up in Seattle, of course, but all three bands were playing. It was like Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and Alice in Chains. And then it was either the Rip Party or Cat House, one of the two, whatever it was. And they did Temple of the Dog at the end. So yeah, it's pretty wild to think about that they shouted out on their Instagram. It was like,
I know that guy.
Yeah, it was an honor actually, because it's great, especially, sometimes you don't even really want to tell people stories because they'll walk away like, that guy's full of shit, when you've lived a crazy life of like Forrest Gump style shit. A lot of people are going to look at you like, what, but so
I choose to believe, Dean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, why would you make up story at 60? Like, a lot of people don't even know about the shit we're talking about. So you're going to go make up a story? Anyway, yeah, well, it was an honor.
Let's talk. I'm gonna bounce all around, kind of like how you bounced all around. Let's talk about your major career shift for a second. You were making money touring as a rock and roller, and then file sharing came in and kind of nipped that in the bud. People were burning your CDs before you could even sell it to them. And so that forced you to reinvent yourself time and time again. And you ultimately got your sea legs in comedy and podcasting. And obviously all through crazy, crazy hard work. And I'm glossing over a lot here. But you didn't really switch careers or jobs. You kind of had to change identities in a way. And that wasn't, that evolution wasn't a choice. That was survival. So talk to me about the mental and emotional toll something like that takes on you. And do you think that reinvention is a form of grief?
Well, I think that if you're not constantly reinventing yourself over your lifetime, you're going to turn into what I call a tumbleweed, which are those people, especially hair metal tumbleweeds, I call them, with these people that just are locked into that era of when they were young. The music was fucking great back then, and concerts were $5, and beer was.
Oh my! Don't get me started, Dean. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think that that's the saddest thing you could do in your life. Rob yourself of new adventures and constantly growing and finding new stuff. And a perfect example of that is trying different stuff at different parts of your life. So me being a comedy fan my entire life, sure, I always wanted to try it. I just didn't know how you even did that, at all. So my biggest thing I always tell people is, they never try stuff. They have regrets. And it's mostly because of fear of failure and credit card debt. I always feel like people have backed themselves into these corners to where that's it. I did something early in life, and that's who I am for the rest of my life, And I just think the world's too big not to go see it or try stuff or whatever, And if you get yourself in the river and you're panning for gold, eventually some shiny shit's going to come up. But if you're never in the river trying, you're not going to find any gold. And that's not monetary. That's just life's rewards.
That is very, very true. The fear of failure is so paralyzing to so many. And you mentioned credit card debt. Yeah, if you fear of not being able to pay your bills, of course, you're going to take the pragmatic route. But without risk, there is no reward, my friend, as you know.
Well, also, I think the real lesson here to be learned is you can do both. Yeah, people go, it's easy for you to say, but I got, 2, 3 kids. And it's like, hey, man, find time for yourself.
Yeah.
Even if it's 30 minutes a day, sitting down, trying a guitar, or sitting down and painting for 30 minutes, or, going out to the garage and working on your car, whatever it is, find the time. Because most people just sit on the couch and watch TV. And then when they say, I don't have the time, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You don't have the time. It's more like you don't have the desire. You've tapped out. And a lot of people tap out at like 30, 35 years old. I started comedy at 44. I'm 60 right now.
Did you, your rock days with that band that I alluded to, that ended, did you feel sorry for yourself at all?
No. Whenever I look at doing art, each day that you wake up and you're able to do art, it's like, oh my God, I get to do this again. And it's a gift. It's not any time. It's not owed to you. It doesn't matter how long you put into it. You can go, I put 20 years into this, man. You owe me. It's like, no, it's each day you get up and you can do the thing you want to do, which now for me is comedy, is just kind of a blessing. And so I made the decision to stop. Nobody else did, and to be able to walk away from something and try something else is pretty, pretty rewarding, like I said, because I was like, all right, I played music 25 years. I can't believe I did it for 25 years.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And now I've been on stage for 41 years. So I always laugh when people, once I did an interview and the DJ said, failed musician, now successful comedian. And I was like, whoa, failed musician. I fucking did it for 25 years. You're just putting a monetary or fame stamp on my career. You forgot 25 years. That's not a failure. That is a goddamn win. That is a win to do something for 25 years. That's crazy. Amazing. Most people don't do shit for 5 years.
So when you were starting comedy at 44, did you look back on your rock days and say, what advantage do I have seeing that first dream kind of end while these younger comics are chasing their first dream?
Right. Well, like I said, the first dream didn't end. There was no dream really. I would say after 10 years, you're like, oh, I'm a musician.
It was house money at that point. And you're like, okay, this is great.
Yeah. It's like the dream is being lived. It's not like the dream ended. It was, like I said, I wanted to try something else. And, I think you can feel when you've done the thing, and then people just, like I said, they don't want to start over on anything. So they just keep doing what they're doing. And you just start seeing it dwindle and dwindle, like attendance or able to survive. Music is the hardest fucking thing you can do because you have other people 99% of the time that you're doing it with. Comedy is crazy hard, but with my work ethic and my drive, I'm not carrying anybody that may not have the drive that I have. So a lot of times you'll have a bass player or a drummer or something that doesn't have the drive, but you can't find another guy you carry. You got a fucking flat tire, but you keep driving and eventually the other tires blow out. So with comedy, I knew I did it the first time and I was like, oh, well, this is going to be fucking.
Was it easier then out of the gate because you had that experience behind you and now you've got just the single, now you're a motorcycle. You don't have a car anymore.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Comedy is not It was not easier at all.
Not easy, but
Yeah,
you could approach it.
I had no idea what the fuck, and still, I'm always trying to figure out. You're writing and writing and writing, and it's punches to the face. At least with music, you can go rehearse in a studio for a year and then go on the road. With comedy, you're rehearsing in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
You're constantly trying stuff and taking hits to the face. If you're not taking hits to the face, you're not really, you're not doing it. So it was not easier. It was actually harder because, like I said, I was 44. I was working a full-on day job selling motorcycles in the 110-degree heat in Van Nuys. The only easier thing was back then rent was real cheap in LA, and you could kind of survive as a musician or a comedian or an actor by just having a little bit of money, working a day job. Now, I don't even know how I wouldn't be able to do it. I would have to start in, maybe, I don't even know, maybe Portland. Everywhere is expensive where there might be some comedy. Denver's expensive. I like Denver a lot. I like Portland. Seattle's a lot of money. New York's a fortune. Austin, that's not cheap either. So I was very lucky to start when I did. There was like kind of a perfect storm to make it where I was able to do it. I had a great boss that let me take time off whenever I wanted to do road dates. And my rent was, $12.50. I work 6 days a week selling motorcycles, and then I worked 7 days a week doing comedy at night. I was able to figure it out.
So a friend of mine told me that he liked that my buddy Paul and I do this show because it helps to document the music and the art that we love, that we kind of grew up on, that could be lost to time, especially in the social media age. And I thanked him for that. But when I think about your podcast, I think you do something very similar. So what do you make of this idea of kind of preserving stories in forms of craftsmanship and culture that speaks so deeply to you, rather just a Q&A?
Well, I've been doing my podcast for 13 years, almost 1,000 episodes. And one thing I was really careful about the entire time of podcasting was I wanted it to be evergreen episodes, not a promotional show where the person had a new album out, so they were going to come on and talk about the new album. I really geared it around people that completely inspired me, and I would dig into their career, say a Stone Gossard or Jerry Cantrell or, John Mayer or Paul Stanley, AC/DC. These are guests that I had no idea I'd get when I started. But once you sit down with them, I always look at it as like a time capsule where 20, 30 years from now, somebody might be like, what's this shit here with these old fucking dudes talking about music? We have no idea where it'll be in 20 years with AI and whatever. So to go back and be able to hear 4 hours with John Mayer or a full hour with AC/DC, who never did a podcast, that kind of stuff, I am really proud of. And I'm always waiting for somebody to license the podcast, like a Netflix. I can make it a podcast series. Like, hey, this season you listen to 10 of Dean's long form interviews with these legends, man. These people on the fucking show. You got to look at like Gene Simmons. He came to my apartment in the Valley and he drove himself there. No fucking team or anything. Sat in my apartment for 2-3 hours. At that, at the end of the Kiss career a few years ago, this guy's done over 1 million interviews, without exaggeration. And he gave me full Gene Simmons and history. So same with John Mayer. The guy hadn't done an interview in like 7 years, and he goes, "I think I'm ready to sit down and talk. I'll come over to your house."
Why you, Dean? Why are they sitting down and talking to you? I mean, Marin gets this kind of stuff. Rogan gets this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Dean Delray is getting this kind of stuff.
I think what's different from my show and those guys' shows is I was there most of the time when I'm interviewing people. I was there, in it. I was, either booking the bands or playing the music or touring with these people or whatever. So I think they look at it as like, oh, well, this guy is one of us. And it's not just an interview show. And also I'm the underdog. I think there's something cool to people going, well, fuck, I want to do that guy's show, And also I work my ass off to get it, I don't hound them, but eventually they'll do the show. And now I just get offers all day long now. Before I was just like, God, I got to get a guest. And then I realized, I could just sit down and talk about my life if I don't have a guest. And then there was no more pressure to get a guest. And then guests just started coming, which is hilarious. Like,
how long into it do you think was it before you started getting banged down the doors?
I think COVID really opened it up for me. Early Zoom. Before that, they would have to be in LA. And you'd be like, oh, they're going to be in LA. And then when they're in LA, they're doing 30 interviews. By the time they get to me, they're like, fuck, I'm not going to make it, dude. Sorry. I just did 6 hours on TV and radio. Once COVID happened, a lot of people tapped out and a lot of people embraced the podcast
and this thing over the internet.
Right. And Zoom, all of a sudden I'm talking to AC/DC while they're in Australia. So it really, I know a lot of people were like, well, I like the one-on-one, and I do too. But I also like to interview people that I could not get before, Yeah,
I'm with you. Speaking of AC/DC, I just saw you a few weeks back at the Avalon. It was your very last Bon Scott tribute concert on February 3rd, and it was your 60th birthday. Happy birthday again.
Thank you, buddy.
I have questions about that, but first I need to ask this question, which is, like I said, you've been on the rock and roll stage 25 years. You've been telling jokes on stage for 16 years. Where is the truest version of Dean Delray? Which stage?
Well, people ask me that all the time, and I think that comedy, although I don't feel I'm great yet, I do feel that I'm starting to kind of figure it out. And I absolutely, I grew up an only child. It kind of works for me, comedy. And I'm glad that I'm doing comedy because as I got older, loud music and sound checks and, snare drums and shit, they start to rattle your cage, man. When you've been in it all your life, you're kind of like, fuck, this is loud. Towards the end of my music career, I was doing solo acoustic tours, and I absolutely loved that. I had fallen in love with the alt country world of like Wilco and Sutherland and Lucinda Williams. So even, stuff like Jar Flies and Sap and Mad Season, that kind of stuff, that was where my career was towards the end. But I would say definitely stand-up is something that comes pretty natural as far as just being able to like riff on something or, being around friends and they're laughing,
AC/DC.
Yeah.
What is it about AC/DC and Bon Scott in particular? And by the way, how many tributes did you do? 15? 10?
Oh, no. I've been doing it for over 40 years.
No, but the Bon Scott tribute shows that we've had here in Hollywood.
Right. Yeah, I started it in San Francisco.
Did you really?
Yeah, like after Bon died, when I was a kid, I was doing the same thing.
Oh, and shit. Okay.
I'd have people like Death Angel would play and, Paul Gilbert did one. I played drums. All these like San Francisco musicians would play them. And And then the guitar players, they've been doing it with me from day one. Josh Z and Billy Rowe. Billy Rowe, who plays in Buck Cherry now. Josh Z, who was in a band called Protein and Mother Truckers. Those guys have been doing it with me since the beginning. So it's me and those two dudes standing up there. It's like original lineup.
Rotating cast of rhythm section.
Yeah. And, one of the drummers that did it for years, Ronnie Crawford, he almost did this one. It was just kind of didn't work out schedule-wise. But, these dudes have been doing it with me since day one. And it was always around my birthday because that was the a few weeks away from Bond's passing. So I always celebrated Bond. And we used to just do a record. So every year it'd be like, all right, this year we're doing High Voltage. And each band would play 2 songs. I didn't sing the whole show. And then it became a thing of like, fuck this, let's just put together a band, me and Josh and Billy, and we'll just do the whole show. Because it was easier than finding bands to, they're on the road and stuff. And then I took years off of doing it, moved to LA, and I mentioned it to Bill Burr, and he goes, God, that'd be so cool to do. So it was my 50th birthday, and we did Delray at the El Rey.
And I remember that one. Yep.
Yeah, that was the first one we brought back. Bill on drums, and a bunch of different people played that one, like Rudy Sarzo and I can't even remember all the guys.
Dude, you got a list of people: Cantrell, Simmons, Scotty, and Justin Chancellor, Lombardo, Chad Smith, Jake Lee, Nikki Sixx, Josh Homme. I mean, it's how do you assemble this cast of characters, these rock stars?
Well, over the years, they've become really good friends of mine, and they come to my comedy shows.
Oh,
so
great.
they come to see me at the Comedy Store. Gene Simmons is there all the time. And, so is Cantrell's gone to a bunch of my shows when I'm in Seattle. Sean Kenny was just at the show in Seattle 3 weeks ago or so. Mike Inez, he did the podcast years ago, and he became the bass player of the gig. And Mike Inez is a goddamn dream. I always said I would still play rock and roll if I had 3 Mike Inezes. Because he's the exact same flavor as me. He's always smiling. He's always going, this is fucking great, huh? How great is this? And man, I live my life exact to Mike Inez. It's like, can you believe it? We're fucking playing music. There's thousands of people here or whatever, like that is the proper frame of mind of having. So anyway, all these people over the years, I would just it takes me about 3 months to put the thing together. So what I do is I start sending out some, ideas to people. Scott Ian has done it for years. Unfortunately, him and Lombardo were out with Bungle this year and in South America and couldn't do it. It was the first time they couldn't do it in years. But that means other people like, Brad Wilk or Chad
he had the
Smith.
flu, unfortunately, but
yeah, he got the flu, but he was there. He did it a few years ago. Juliette Lewis, Brad Wilk, different drummers is always kind of a theme also. It's interesting. Steve Gorman is the key drummer of the band. And at one point we were going to tour this. And
really,
there was an idea right before COVID. And I think I told this story, but AC/DC's label had called me in and they go, we're going to play you the new AC/DC album secretly. I had to sign an NDA. I went over to Sony at the Culver City lot. They played me the whole record. They had like a 6-pack of Topo Chico there. And I was by myself in this room. And then they came in and they said, what do you think? And I go, fuck, I can't believe they got a new album. Total top secret. And they go, yeah, man. And we're thinking about doing like 5 cities. You take out your Bon Scott tribute and comedy. We gave you a tour bus. we wrap it in the new AC/DC art, and you go out and you promote their album and you do your show. I go, I'm fucking in. And then COVID hit.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it had really reached a pretty cool, legitimate level. Now, one thing that I do want to thank everybody that has come out, but I do want to make it super clear. People do not understand this is impossible to tour this specific thing because these are giant rock stars and they're doing it for the love of AC/DC and my friendship. Mm-hmm. As soon as you bring cameras in or a tour or anything, then the managers and the agents are going to come in, and then it's not going to happen because of scheduling and money and everything. So
everyone's got to get their beak wet, Dean.
Yeah. I always appreciate everybody going like, man, they fucking bring that thing to such and such. And it's like, hey, it's so much easier for you to buy a $200 flight to Los Angeles than it's never going to happen unless there was some giant dough on the table. Right. Because it's like, it costs a fortune. Just look at real bands that are touring and they're like, I can barely make it, you know? And then the ticket's going to be $300 instead of, $58. And it's, so I always told people, this was the last one. I was telling people, man, just fly yourself out, man. It's really a day in your life.
I met some folks who flew out from Toronto who were like,
we had North Carolina, South Carolina, we had Detroit, we had Portland, we've had Ireland, we've had, Australia. We had people there from Australia this year. They all flew out, man, from places. And man, that fucking makes me so happy, especially when they have fun. They're like, oh my God, that was so
dude, it was so fun. I had heard about it for so many years. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. I have to go. It's the last one I have to go. And my schedule actually lined up. Usually I'm working, so I can't go out on short notice. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I had a fucking blast. The comedy and then the rock and roll. And everyone's smiling around me. Everyone's having a great fucking time. And how cool is it that it's happening during Grammys week? So you've got the extra ability for people who happen to be in town for that to just pop in like Marcus King. Oh, I'll just show up. Anybody got a guitar? Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah. That was it was like when you saw We Are the World. And it happened to be like the People's Choice Awards or some shit like that. Golden Globe. I don't know what it was. It
was the Grammys. It was the night. It was the night before or after the Grammys, and everyone got whisked to Henson.
Yeah. So it was a miniature version of that. It was just kind of like, oh my God, everybody's going to be in town. It was so funny because I want to give a shout out to 2 Rock and Divided by 13 amps because they
saved great amps, by the way.
Oh, killer. They saved the day, man, because 2 reasons I want to bring this up. They saved the day because we went to rent Marshalls and they go, there are none. Grammy weekend. I'm like, but we're on a Tuesday. Well, the Grammys are over. And they're like, yeah, but we don't know where they're going to be. We got to go pick them up. I was like, this is fucking crazy. And then Divided by 13, which I found out about those amps from fucking Pearl Jam back in the day. They were playing Divided by 13s.
So is Chris Cornell, by the way.
Yeah, and Cornell, man. So early on, I bought a Divided by 13 when I was young. And because of those dudes, I was like, what is that amp? The tone is amazing. Mm-hmm. And man, those fucking amps delivered because he had... Divided had this model that AC/DC used. They used a JTM 45 watts, not, JMP 50 watts. A lot of people thought they were 50 watt amps, but they played 45 watts. And Divided was like, we have an amp, designed after that. Mm-hmm. And then when Josh Z plugged in and he was like, it
sounds.
Oh, it's such a specific tone, AC/DC, because it's a lot like Bon Scott. It's clean, but it's crackly. AC/DC's tone is real clean. It's turned up, fucking cranking, so you get natural breakup. That's like Bond's voice. It's clean. You know, it's like, in the beginning. It's like he's talking, but people try to do his voice and they're like, in the beginning. And it's like, that's not what it is. It's a clean fucking.
That's the clip right there for social media.
Yeah. In the beginning. Oh my God. When people do it, I see their throat. I had a singing teacher on my show recently, and we're talking about like when you see people singing wrong, you just grab your neck. You don't even know you're doing it. You grab your neck. You're like, oh, fuck, that hurts, you know?
And some people are really good at like the screaming, like Grohl has done it forever. There's a lot of metal singers. Actually, have you seen Lisa Whiteglass from formerly of Arch Enemy? She can do like the Cookie Monster thing and then sing angelically. And you're like, how the fuck do you do that? It's a skill.
Yeah, Randy Lamagata, I just had him on.
Oh, yeah, he's a great example of that.
Fuck yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, I've never fried my voice, you know, and I think to do Bond, you have to either have it in you or you don't. That's just, you can't, like, I cannot do Brian Johnson. So everybody's like, you should be singing for AC/DC. And I was like, well, they would be doing Brian Johnson songs. And then people would be furious. They'd go, they didn't even play Back in Black. You know?
Have you seen that clip of Brian Johnson pre-AC/DC where he's singing like angelically, like not?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I find that so funny.
He's in that band Geordie, and he was amazing. They were like kind of like a Faces style, sweet type of band. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Brian, on those first 3 AC/DC Brian Johnson records, those are some of the best vocals I've ever heard in my fucking life. Have a Drink on Me, Spellbound, For Those About to Rock, just vocal seminars, man. I mean, unbelievable. And then watch those concerts. There's a Japanese concert.
Well, I was going to say, to your point, like I had Live at Donington on, because it's available on like, the Apple streaming things. I put it on while I was making Super Bowl food last weekend, and my kid walks in, my 8-year-old, who's, by the way, in drumming class, and his first recital, he played Back in Black. Anyways, he goes, oh, what's this? And I go, you know what this is? This is AC/DC. He goes, oh, yeah. And he's just sitting there watching, mesmerized, as you're just stalking the stage, doing the thing, and Rudd's doing his thing. And
Sick. But, so you could type in AC/DC Japan 1981 and see one of the most blistering performances of all time from Brian Johnson. It is fucking radical.
Is it on YouTube, I assume?
YouTube, yeah.
Okay. I'll be back to this.
It is radical. And also, all of that For Those About to Rock footage from, I believe it's Detroit, Pro Shot. That shit is unbelievable, man.
There was a pure power with that group. Not that if you see them, in modern times, they're not powerful, but like there's something, a little extra sauce when they were younger men, and it's just like, wow, that's rock and roll.
I saw him in 78, man, and it's just
really.
Oh yeah, I saw him 78, 79, 80. I've seen every tour from 78 on, including the last one at the desert, the power
trip.
Yeah. But man, if you watch the movie Let There Be Rock, which I watched it about 5 times before I did the Bon Scott tribute this time. A lot of people don't know, but it takes me a couple months. I kind of start training to do the gig. A lot of hiking, a lot of, vocal warm-ups daily, a lot of light weights to get ready for it, because to sing that concert, I sang this one. It was, I think, an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Man, it was a cakewalk. But I was so fucking ready and in shape. And you watch those guys on that Let There Be Rock movie, and you just can't even believe what the fuck they're doing. I mean, it is unbelievable. Angus, flying off the amps, landing on his knees, just rug burns and fucking damaged cartilage all over that guy's body now, I mean, they don't say anything, but this guy's had some surgeries. I asked him and he's like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Bullshit, bro.
That fucking guy is basically playing football, NFL level. Back then, if you look at the tour schedule, they played every fucking night. Back in Black Tour, every night. They had one night off a week. And you're going like, what? I mean, it's gnarly what that band did. 2 hours.
The stamina of a group like that, yeah.
Oh God, man. When I interviewed Cliff Williams, he said, I'm not going to do it anymore. He basically announced it on my podcast. He goes, I go, is it like physical? And he's like, a lot of it. Absolutely. And look at Chris Chaney and the drummer they have now. They're way fucking younger, so they can do it. Mm-hmm. They're in their 50s. And, Brian is like 78 or 77. That shit is so hard to do. Even if you're doing
his hearing back, by the way. I never read how he got his hearing back.
Some company, man, fucking gave him some kind of like super in-ears, like an implant type of. When he was talking about it, it was almost like it was under NDA because it was new technology.
Oh, wow.
And, so he's able to do it. But, which, by the way, this is the first Bon Scott Bash I used in-ears. And I was like, I'm a moron. I should have used these
yeah, dude.
The last 10 fucking years.
Look at me right now.
Yeah.
You got to do them.
Oh, my God, dude. It made singing that shit like it was a cakewalk, dude.
You could stalk the stage, or you don't have to be in front of your monitors.
No, I can turn down the fucking guitar player who's on 100, I can turn down the snare drum. I can blend in a nice little Mike Inez bass riff just to sing to, Diamonds, just get in there,
That's great. That must have been a mixing, I don't want to say nightmare, but a super hard challenge for whoever's mixing that, both in-ears and for the house.
You mean for me?
Well, I'm saying for anybody who's on stage who was wearing in-ears, was it just you?
It was just me this show. But yeah, so you'll always get like a band and 4 guys will be on in-ears and the other guy's not. The old school, I just can't get used to him, man. Fuck that. I don't feel it. And I'm like, hey, man.
I mean, that's Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Eddie doesn't wear in-ears, but everybody else does.
Yeah, man. And it's wild to me. I mean, Pearl Jam and Black Crowes and AC/DC. Those are the 3 bands I've stood on stage for while they were playing. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, these guys, you think those cabinets are dummies cabs? You're crazy. Like even those matchlesses that, Pearl Jam use, those are 30 watts, but they're really like 200 watts type because it's class A amplification. Mm-hmm. So it's pure watts and you just walk by it. And it's like when you're getting on the plane at Burbank Airport and you're walking out on the fucking runway and another plane's landing and you're like, oh, fuck.
Dear God.
That's what it's like being on stage when AC/DC's in.
That thing right there, it's a Fender Deluxe Reverb.
Yeah,
it's a reissue.
That thing's loud.
But it's a 22 watt amp. I can't put it past 3 and I have to use an attenuator.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm blowing the windows out.
I know, and you'll bring that to a club and the sound man will be like, we need to turn down. You're like, dude, it's 22 watts. Like, yeah, you're too loud in the house.
Which is crazy to think that these guys back in the day are just running like multiple 100-watt,
dude. Unbelievable,
Why'd you lose your hearing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you about the special.
Yeah.
We're almost a year out from its release.
Yeah.
5836, which is a brilliant title considering I assume it was your 5836th show, comedy set.
Set 5,836 in my career.
Bang. And although you've come all this way, you basically had to go back in time to a cave to do it, which I think is great.
Yeah.
And by the way, for the record, I have never dressed like my wife. So,
Same close couples.
The real ones know. The real ones know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want you to reflect on that special, all the work that got you to that point now that you're almost a year away from it.
You know, what's funny is somebody did a review of the Bon Scott Bash yesterday, a podcast. A guy flew out from somewhere. And, you know, and this isn't any whining or anything. But when this guy was talking about the nuances and the small things like set list and who sang what and who played on what and the digital artwork in the theater and the sound and everything. And I was like, oh man, once in a while, somebody fucking sees the work I put into it.
Dude, that artwork was fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know who created it, but kudos to them.
So Kai Arns did the poster. But my point on that is, I think that there's some kind of, I don't know what it is, but I shopped this cave special. And the 16 years of grinding and writing and the 5,836 sets and the ups and downs and the failures and the punches to the face, like I said before, I was so blown away that when people looked at it, they didn't go like, what the fuck? Like, I just think that they're like, oh yeah, Dean, that's what he does, you know? And they just move on, where it could be somebody else who shoots a special in their backyard and they're like, you see that? He shot it in a backyard. It's insane. I'm like, really, man? Like, you don't see what we did here? We shot a special in a cave, never done before. It looks like Apocalypse Now. The jokes are murdering. 2,000 people showed up in the middle of Tennessee. And, you know, the industry is just kind of like, oh, yeah, but you're 60 and white. So nobody, you know, we don't care. It's fucking mind-boggling to me. And it doesn't get me angry or anything. I'm just more blown away. And once in a while, someone will go, you know, I'll be in an airport and they'll go, dude, I can't believe it. I saw your special in that cave. It was fucking amazing. And then like you, they'll mention a joke and I'll be like, yeah, that's what it's about right there. Right. You know, like all the people I liked, Metallica and AC/DC and Ramones and, you know, Judas Priest and, you know, all of these acts, the industry didn't want them, you know. I remember seeing somebody posted, it was some big star. It was great. They go, the industry didn't want the Beatles, you know. The industry didn't want fucking, you know, any kind of like Radiohead, whatever, you know. It's the people. And then the industry goes, oh, the people like it. We need to get this, you know. So eventually some people will get it and they'll realize, oh my God, the work that went into this. You know, I couldn't have done it without Bill Burr. That's just all there is to it. I have the dream. And Bill was like, God damn, that's a fucking crazy dream. Let's do it. And he was the producer on it. People like Club Soda Kenny, who was the tour manager, who was like, I'll figure out how to fucking wrangle this to where the crowd's, you know, not filming or dicking off or fighting or making noise. And we're in a cave. And then Marcus Price, who the director who flew out a week before, I'd never even been in the cave till the second I step on the stage to do the jokes. God. I had only seen Lucinda Williams and Chris Robinson play a gig in there, and I was like, "Where the fuck is that?" And then the owner, who let us do it, you know, he bought that cave and turned it into a venue, so. There was so many other people that really made the dream come true. But at the end of the day, I had the vision of like, you know, I'm interviewing the owner of Todd Mayo, that he owns the cave. And mid-interview on my podcast, I go, I got to do my special in there. And he's all, let's do it, man. Come on out. And a month later, we were fucking out there, you know?
You know what's wild about that cave is that the story of its, I guess, use as a space to do art and have good times. It's very similar to the story of the Gorge, up in. Have you seen that documentary?
Oh yeah, man. There's only a few venues left on my dream list. Gorge is one of them, and the Cow Palace in San Fran is the other.
Oh, dude,
the Gorge is nuts. But I've been lucky enough to do Red Rocks, to do Madison Square Garden, to do LA Forum, to do Hollywood Bowl, to do the Caverns, and all of that, of course, is from hard fucking work, but also Bill Burr. You know,
let's talk about Bill for a second, man. Bill has, not to cut you off, but like I had a question here, and I wanted to hit it because I had been listening to his Monday morning podcast for over 10 years, and even as far back as like 2015, he would rattle your name off every once in a while. Dean this, Dean that, Dean this, Dean that. Even mentioning the Delray at the El Rey. So I've known about you, and I've chimed in every once in a while. I think I saw you once at the Comedy Store years ago. I've checked out episodes of Let There Be Talk, and one reason why I wanted to get to the show, the Bon Scott show. But Bill has been in your corner for the longest time. He's a co-executive producer on this special. Talk to me about your relationship with him.
Well, here's the great thing. First of all, I want to straighten one thing out. Once in a while, you'll get this comment. This guy's not fucking funny. He's just on Burr's coattails. Without Burr, he's nothing and all this. And two things. First, Bill would not just help somebody out that was not funny or working hard. He doesn't have time for people like that. Second of all, out of the 6,400 something dates I've done, I would say about 300 of them are with Bill. The rest are me. So that's a thing of saying people ignoring the hard work because they're failing in something they're doing, and they always want to have an excuse of like, yeah, fuck that guy. He's nothing without Bill. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. What about all these dates right here? I've wrote everyone down. I have everyone in my phone because one day I'm going to write a book. And when you show people that, then they're like, oh yeah, well, fuck that guy anyway. And
they find the next excuse to confirm their preconceived biases. And it's like just seeing the iceberg tip and not
right. Yeah. And it's really geared around, and I don't have any animosity towards these people because it's geared around their own anger with their own life of not going for it in whatever they wanted to do. I met Bill Burr in the hallway at the Comedy Store when he was not the mighty Bill Burr. He was still kind of at the end of doing weekend runs in clubs, starting to do some theaters, but he was not the mighty Bill Burr that he later became. And also, we're talking about a man who's 33 years into his career now. So that's another example of being around Bill and constantly knowing, well, fuck, Bill was not, he was grinding all the way until I would say 14 years ago, because I met him 16 years ago. So when I met him in the hall, he was not the massive Bill Burr. He was doing clubs, some theaters, and then it eventually started to happen over the last 10 years. But he and I bonded over being the same age, the same love of music, and just being a couple of, he didn't need anything from me. I didn't need anything from him. Everybody at the Comedy Store was way younger than me. Here's a guy I could talk to. And that was my age, and we'd be like, dude, did you ever see fucking Judas Priest? And it's like, oh yeah, us festival, and the organicness of our friendship was so real and something that I needed so hard at the time because, I have no family. My mom passed away a couple of years ago, but I have no family, and most of my friends were married with kids and long out of the entertainment biz. So I was kind of a dude blowing around LA, like, yeah, let's try comedy, So it's been, most of all, other than the help in the career, it's just been amazing to have this man as a friend. And vice versa. He calls me when he's in the dumps. I call him when I'm in the dump, whatever. We've had some of the greatest times of our lives together. Red Rocks, or riding, motorcycles through the Red Rocks out to the Shining Hotel, or stepping
kidding.
Yeah, stepping
Wow.
on stage at Madison Square Garden and the Hollywood Bowl and fucking just doing shit, flying around in helicopters, laughing and, scary shit like that. Like, whoa, fuck. But we've really had some amazing times. And I've been there for some of his biggest highs in his career. And he's been there watching me all the way through. And he just, he sees the work that I put into it big time. And he also sees the ageism and kind of the bullshit of the industry just passing on me because of my age. So he's like, fuck these guys. We're just going to do it, And
I've always gotten definitely, I don't want to say a big brother, but like a best friend vibe from him. And when I say that, meaning when I was listening to the pod years and years and years ago, I never got I'm just going to lift this guy up because XYZ. To your point, right. It felt like a brotherhood. And strangely, as you were talking, the way that you describe your friendship with him reminds me a lot of Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder, and how Eddie was the new guy in Seattle, didn't really know anybody aside from this brand new band that just picked him out because of Jack Irons. And here's Chris Cornell in the vocal booth doing Temple of the Dog and saying, "Hey, I need somebody to sing this verse for Hunger Strike." And it was this bond, and they were roommates, and they would go climb trees together. And like he kind of put him under his arm a little bit, and then they became these guys that helped each other. And it's like, wow. And they both became, as we know, legends. And I see that a little bit with you and Bill.
Well, you also got to put into the mix that Cornell had just lost, his best friend and roommate, and Love Bone was done, and they're doing this record as a tribute, so he's going through some shit. The reason I bring that up is a lot of times people are going through some shit and somebody comes into their life and it's the perfect timing. You don't even know why they're there. It could be years later. You're like, oh my God, I can't even believe I know this guy. I met him in the Comedy Store in the hallway. And here we are all these years later. And, and with Bill and I, it just become such a tight knit friendship. And I taught him how to ride motorcycles, I got him
much to Nia's chagrin, I'm sure.
Yeah. I got him on stage playing with guys that were on posters in his bedroom, So, the thing is a back and forth that people don't see. And it's not like, hey man, I'm going to do this for you, so you do this for me. It's never that. To me, it's like, oh my God, I can't wait to see Bill's face when fucking, he comes on stage, like even when he played with Primus, it was insane. I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, 10 years ago, he was playing at my birthday jam. Now he's at the Greek playing with fucking Primus, Yeah. That kind of shit is, and then he's watching me on Conan. He's there on the side, like, fuck, Dean's on Conan. And I tell the first joke and he's like a proud dad, like, fuck yeah, he's killing it. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
So we've had all these moments together that are just, and they keep coming, man. They keep coming. This Bon Scott, Bill played better than I'd ever heard him play.
He was solid, dude. I knew he played drums. I mean, he would talk about it for years and years and years, practicing in his little practice unit, or he get. I think he asked for drums to get put out on stage on his first Garden show.
Yeah. We toured with a kit, and he would play during the day while we were there.
Yeah, which is great. Just so if you're a fan of Bill and you've been following his pod or his whatever, to see him be able to really, I mean, he was dialed.
Oh, well, really what people don't understand is, they might look at like a Neil Peart as like, oh, that's a drummer. But you get 99% of the drummers trying to play a Phil Rudd groove, and they just go, I can't fucking do it. I don't understand how he does it. Every drummer will tell you that. And so Bill was back there. I told him, I hit him that night at like 4 a.m. I go, dude, you were killing on Sin City. I posted the clip, but he's just in this pocket, man. It's just like diamonds and dust. He's just perfect groove. And I was like, oh, wow, man, that's fucking amazing. So, yeah, man, it was. I
look forward to the next Bill and Dean rock group that gets created.
Yeah, right? Like fucking, I mean,
Originals, Dean, let's go.
Oh,
third arc. We need a third arc.
That's so much work. Originals. Look, I got to go. Speaking of that, I'm going to the studio right now.
Oh, sick.
I'm going to, me, Keith Nelson, formerly of Buck Cherry, and another friend of ours are going to the studio, and we're going to record songs like once a week or so and break them down. And so today we're doing Miss You by the Stones. And
fantastic.
We're going to do a little kind of YouTube videos of like when we first heard a such and such song, how old we were, what it did to us, and then we'll play it a little bit, and we're going to post it up.
That's amazing. Well, I thank you for taking your morning here, talking to me about all this stuff, and I could go on forever, but I'm just so happy that you're able to join me. Congratulations on all the success so far. Obviously, more is to come, and guys, it's Dean Delray.
Thank you. Check out the special YouTube 5836. Follow me on Instagram, Dean Delray, Delray, and subscribe to my podcast on YouTube, Let There Be Talk, over almost 900 episodes. Thanks, bud.
Thank you again to Dean for taking the time out of his busy day to chat with me. Those stories are just the tip of the iceberg, and I hope you go and check out more on his Let There Be Talk podcast, which is incredible. It's an incredible document of conversations with really cool people. Check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Go to his YouTube channel where you can find his special, 5836, hilarious stuff, and his website for all of his tour dates. He's probably coming to a city near you tonight, tomorrow. He's always working, baby. He's always working. Also, his Instagram is a great time as well. So go check out all of Dean's stuff. And if you want to support this show, like I said before, down in the description of the video or podcast are links. You can do Patreon. You can go to the pod shop and buy a mug or a t-shirt, or I think we have beanies as well. And we really do appreciate you for that. That's it. There you go. Paul will be back next week, and so will I. So until then, you've been listening to or watching The State of Love and Trust.